you get the right stage, you don't do it perfectly, but you make sure people get the right lights together. You get everything, you get the right ticket price, you get everything that's possibly right. But you're not a member. You can never be a fifth member, because you've got to remember when somebody says, ladies and gentlemen, Led Zeppelin, and they walk out there on stage, they're on their own. God knows how people get the bottle to do it. They're totally on their own.
In the grand narrative of rock and roll, few bands cast a shadow as long and imposing as Led Zeppelin. Their sound was immense, their reach unparalleled, and their live performances famously compelling.
Hey, mama said the way you move gonna make you sweat, gonna make you cool.
But as the 1970s drew to a close, uncertainty loomed over the band. Absent from British stages for over 4 years, their return in the summer of 1979 came in the form of 2 colossal concerts at Knebworth House, performances that would leave a lasting mark on music history. The years leading up to Knebworth had been anything but a smooth journey for Led Zeppelin. Their most recent live engagements had concluded abruptly in the summer of 1977 during an expansive North American tour. That particular tour was curtailed by a deeply personal and devastating tragedy. On the 26th of July, 1977, Robert Plant's 5-year-old son, Carrick, died suddenly from viral enteritis. The grief was overwhelming, an unimaginable burden for any parent, and it sent Plant into a profound period of withdrawal, during which he questioned every aspect of his life, including his future in music.
He was a little nature boy, you know. He was a mountain man.
As Plant grappled with his immense loss, the very continuation of Led Zeppelin seemed far from certain. The relentless touring, the sheer magnitude of their operations, the constant pressure, it all felt unbearable. Following Carrick's death, the band entered a hiatus from live performance that extended for a full 2 years. During this time, as Plant sought solace and healing, conversations eventually turned towards the creation of new material. The album that would emerge from these creative sessions, In Through the Outdoor, released on the 15th of August, 1979, shortly after the Knebworth shows, clearly reflected a shift in the band's internal dynamics. It was an album heavily influenced by the synthesizer work of John Paul Jones, who frequently collaborated closely with Plant on developing new ideas. This marked a notable departure from the more guitar-centric sound of their earlier works, a change that some observers attributed to Jimmy Page's less consistent involvement during these recording periods, as he was contending with personal difficulties. As Jones later reflected in interviews, there were 2 distinct camps by then, and we, Plant and I, were in the relatively clean one. Many of the songs destined for In Through the Outdoor were reportedly composed by Plant and Jones during daytime sessions, with Page and Bonham adding their contributions later in the evenings. The decision for Led Zeppelin to return to the concert stage was not one made lightly. Their formidable manager, Peter Grant, was unyielding in his conviction that if they were to perform live again, it had to be on an unparalleled scale.
An outdoor rock festival in front of 50,000 is the sharp end of the music business. Professionalism reigns supreme. A few mistakes could lead to a riot, and worse, a loss of a performing license. What the promoter needs is a softly banked hill, surrounded if possible by trees. 4,000 sheets of corrugated iron to keep out the gatecrashers. A metallic roadway to keep out the mud. And a 90-foot stage that took 5 weeks to build. Like nothing else on Earth, a rock festival preens itself on details.
Smaller venues were simply out of the question. As music historian Dave Lewis recounted, the whole Led Zeppelin touring operation had become too big. Page's experience from the 1971 club tour ruled out any small dates. They had played the biggest indoor arena in the UK, Earls Court, 1975, 4 years earlier. As Peter Grant saw it, they had to come back in the grandest style possible. Knebworth, with its burgeoning reputation as a major concert location, presented the ideal solution for their magnificent re-entry into the live music scene. The announcement of Led Zeppelin's 2 Knebworth dates, set for the 4th of August and the 11th of August 1979, ignited an immediate and fervent excitement across the United Kingdom and beyond. The anticipation was almost tangible. Thousands of devoted fans, many of whom had never had the chance to witness the band perform live, converged on Knebworth Park days in advance, quickly establishing an impromptu tent city.
A cold and cloudy start to the day did nothing to deter the crowds. They came by car, by bus, in trucks and on motorbikes. But most of all, they came on foot, in their tens of thousands.
The atmosphere crackled with a collective energy, the scent of campfires mingling with the steadily growing murmur of the crowd. The concerts themselves were a spectacle of vast proportions. While precise figures remain debated, it is widely believed that hundreds of thousands of people attended across the 2 dates, significantly exceeding the official capacity. Promoter Freddie Bannister had initially secured a license for 100,000 attendees, but the sheer volume of the crowd, compounded by gaps in the perimeter fencing, meant that many more gained entry without tickets. Peter Grant, always the astute and aggressive businessman, fiercely disputed Bannister's lower attendance figures. He reportedly even went as far as sending aerial photographs to a monitoring laboratory in New York to substantiate his own higher estimations, claiming as many as 200,000 for the first show alone. This contentious issue placed a considerable strain on the relationship between Grant and Bannister, ultimately leading to significant financial difficulties for the promoter's company. From a musical perspective, the critical reception of the Knebworth performances was decidedly mixed. While some publications offered generally positive assessments, a number of the more prominent musical critics were less complimentary. New Musical Express, Sounds, and the Sunday Times were among those who described the band's playing as under-rehearsed or rusty. There was a prevailing sense that the prolonged absence from the stage had taken its toll, and that in the intervening years, the explosion of punk rock had fundamentally altered the musical landscape, causing some to perceive Led Zeppelin's style as out of step with the times. Robert Plant himself was acutely aware of the criticisms. During the second show, he made a thinly veiled reference to the negative press, declaring, "Well, it didn't rain, but it rained on us in the week from 1 or 2 sources, and we're just going to stick it right where it really belongs." He also wryly posed a question to the crowd. Can you do the dinosaur rock? Openly acknowledging the epithet that had been applied to them.
Can you do the dinosaur rock? It's amazing how you can prove people wrong, isn't it?
Despite these critical remarks, countless fans who were present remember the shows with immense fondness, recalling them as exhilarating and truly unforgettable experiences. The set lists featured a compelling blend of their timeless classics alongside newer material from the then unreleased album and Through the Outdoor, including tracks such as In the Evening and Hot Dog. While the concerts themselves have become celebrated, it was what surrounded them, the planning, the people, and the peculiarities that offered a fuller picture of the event. The atmosphere among the camping fans was notable. The pervasive Wally chant, its precise origin now lost to the mists of time, became a distinctive feature of the crowd, a spontaneous expression of shared excitement and unity. The logistical challenges involved were truly immense. Shoko, Led Zeppelin's longtime production partner, handled the staging. The company were responsible for the intricate sound, lighting, and effects. Jack Calms, Shoko's founder, recalled a meeting with Peter Grant in the summer of 1979 when the Knebworth event was being meticulously planned. I came armed with a presentation of how Shoko might approach this and the associated six-figure costs, Calms recounted. Peter liked to gamble, and the ritual was that he and I would play a game of cards in order for him to get a reduction of our fee. He'd never quit until he won something, and that day he managed to cut between 5 and 10 grand off our price.
Anybody that is impeding the career of a band, or one of my bands, if they had to be trodden on, they were trodden on. Verbally or whatever you like to think.
Technical issues, while not overwhelming, were certainly present. The colossal lighting rig, for example, had reportedly caused generators to fail during their warm-up shows in Copenhagen. While Knebworth generally proved robust, it was an incredibly demanding task for a band that had been out of the live circuit for 2 years. Backstage, the atmosphere was chaotic but purposeful, a blend of activity and focused anticipation. Photographs from the event offer fleeting glimpses into this world, capturing moments such as John and Mick Bonham in the crowd, reportedly looking for family members amid the sea of fans. Peter Grant, a physically imposing and often formidable figure, could be observed intently watching the performance from the side of the stage, an image of intense concentration. For Robert Plant, the experience was infused with a different kind of intensity. He later reflected on the immense pressure, stating, "I was racked with nerves. It was our first British gig in 4 years, and we could have gone back to the Queen's Head pub, and we talked about doing something like that. But instead we went back in such a flurry and a fluster to 210,000 people in a field. Nobody's big enough to meet those expectations."
We said at these gigs that we keep it short and sweet and crisp, and like no long solos, none, because when we played the Forum it was going on for 3.5 hours, and it was like Jonesy was playing piano concertos and Pagey was like doing everything that you could possibly do to a guitar and all this sort of, and it was going on. In the end I was like an innocent bystander smoking loads of cigarettes and watching from the wings. So we said this time we'd cut it all down short, just bang, bang, bang. Of course it never happened. And now it's 3.5 hours, said again.
But because there was some chemical charge in the air, it worked. It didn't work for us. We played too fast and we played too slow, and it's like trying to land a plane with one engine. But it was fantastic for those who were there. Knebworth House, the majestic backdrop for these historic concerts, possesses a rich and captivating history that spans many centuries. This magnificent English country house, situated in Hertfordshire, has been a cherished home of the Lytton family since 1490, when Sir Robert Lytton acquired the manor. Over the centuries, it has undergone various architectural transformations, evolving from its original red brick late Gothic form to its current Tudor Gothic appearance. Among its most notable former residents was undoubtedly Edward Bulwer Lytton, the celebrated Victorian author and statesman. He of A Dark and Stormy Night and Vrilya energy. Look it up, kids. You can look it up after you finish watching. Go look it up, kids! While steeped in a profound sense of history, Knebworth House's transformation into a globally recognised music venue began much more recently. The expansive parkland surrounding the house provided an ideal setting for large-scale outdoor gatherings. The very first major open-air rock concert held on its grounds took place in July 1974, featuring prominent American acts such as the Allman Brothers Band and the Doobie Brothers, and attracting an audience of 60,000. This pioneering event laid the groundwork for Knebworth to become a regular fixture on the international rock calendar. In the years that followed, Knebworth Park firmly established its reputation as a premier concert destination, often referred to as the British home of classic rock. It has played host to an illustrious array of legendary artists, including Pink Floyd, the Rolling Stones, Queen, who performed their final show with Freddie Mercury there on the 9th of August 1986, Oasis, and Robbie Williams. Led Zeppelin's 2 monumental shows in 1977 were a pivotal moment in this evolving story, unequivocally solidifying Knebworth's status as an iconic location for live music. The Knebworth concerts hold a particularly poignant place in Led Zeppelin's history. Unbeknownst to the thousands of screaming fans, these would be the last major UK performances by the band with their original lineup. Just over a year later, on the 25th of September 1980, John Bonham tragically passed away, leading to the band's decision to break up.
After midnight, Bonham had fallen asleep and was taken to bed. He died in his sleep later that night. He was only 32.
This somber fact imbues the Knebworth shows with a bittersweet significance, marking the end of an era for one of the most powerful and influential bands in rock history. Despite the initial mixed critical response, time has been kind to the Knebworth concerts. They're now largely viewed as historic and iconic events, a final, monumental display of Led Zeppelin's raw power and majestic showmanship on their home turf. For countless fans, it was the only opportunity they would ever have to witness the band live, a memory cherished to this day. The release of In Through the Outdoor and the immediate aftermath of the concerts further cemented Knebworth's place in the band's narrative. The album, with its evolving sound and renewed energy, represented, for some, a band attempting to re-establish its relevance in a changing musical landscape, a glimpse of a potential future that was ultimately cut short. The legacy of Knebworth lives on through various official and unofficial recordings, the vivid recollections of those who were there, and dedicated historical accounts such as Dave Lewis's book, Led Zeppelin, Then as It Was. These resources allow new generations to understand the sheer scale and profound significance of those 2 extraordinary summer days in 1979, when Led Zeppelin, for one last triumphant moment on home soil, reigned supreme.